Hello, magic makers, and welcome back to the Metaphysical Apothecary. We are your hosts, Megan and Shannon. We are also known as the Scorpio Sisters, and we are here to explore the mysterious, magical, and the arcane.
We'll be talking about the art of tarot.
Yes, today we are talking about the art and magic of card slinging. Many of us are familiar with this already, or we're getting started with it. This is so common in the magical community that it's almost become a cliche.
It's been a cliche for centuries now.
Yeah, exactly.
Tarot. We all know what it is. It's a set of cards that has imagery usually on it that allows for the reader to receive messages and give messages to the person they're reading to the portent in certain patterns and certain layouts and spreads. The cards will say different things for different people. A lot of skeptics out there say it's vague. You can put a card down in order to answer any question.
Which is the point.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tarot cards, and the reason why they work, from how we understand it today, they are a limited set of stimulus, allowing you, the reader, to use your imagination and do a creative thinking process called conceptual blending, which means that you can put down any random piece of stimulus, and in this case, it's usually a set of cards. You put down the card, and that card is meant to stimulate your imagination to broaden your awareness or imagination to find answers to the question or find different facets to the question to better understand and give a more in-depth answer.
Exactly. It's almost like a psychological hack in a way. You have the variety of symbols on the cards that come together within the illustrations on each card to create layers of meaning. And you get an initial sensation from the cards, and that's sort of how we discover what they mean in each reading. It almost helps the brain relax into a meditative state. When you're shuffling the cards, like all of the acts that you go through when you're reading tarot, shuffling the cards, laying them out in a particular pattern, knowing that the placement of each card has a particular meaning based on the kind of reading that you're doing, is very meditative. So it helps the mind and the nervous system relax, and that allows you to receive the energy through the symbols and get the information from the reading.
Mm-hmm. You can do by the book memorization readings, which I do know quite a few people who do that. Or there are other people that I know, including myself and Megan and her wife Sam, who are more intuitive. And we read the cards based off of more intuitive gut reaction to each and every single card. Either way, it's still being used as a random limited set of stimuli to engage our right brain activities, the right brain thinking patterns.
Right.
Conceptual blending and creative thinking have been things that are in our world and are quite useful. And we're becoming more aware of using conceptual blending. We're able to do it with random things in the entire world, or we can limit ourselves to a set of cards.
Exactly. It's a little bit like learning a language. This word means this word means that. It's a system, an arbitrary set of symbols that we've assigned meaning to that anyone can kind of pick up and understand. So anyone inclined to oracular or psychic experiences could really benefit from using tarot to help channel those talents. I am a seer and a channel, so using tarot and oracle to help me interpret the feelings I'm getting, the impressions I get, the random phrases and words and deja vu has been really helpful.
I thankfully am not any of those things.
I need you not to be.
Yeah. I use tarot cards in daily meditation, obviously reading for myself and reading for others. It's enjoyable to me. It's a nice pastime, and it's a way to connect with other people and help them, in my opinion. It's a way for me to help them connect to their own intuition, to their own possibilities and their own potential.
Yes. Reading tarot for people, the style that I choose to use, is often a way to help unearth emotion, unearth those thorns, those pieces of the shadow that are sort of stuck in the back of the closet, so to speak, and shed a light on those things.
Mm-hmm.
To say, this is still bothering you, this is still coming up, that's why it's coming through as you having panic attacks, or it's coming through as you fighting with your spouse, or having a hard time at work, or whatever it might be. This is what you need to address.
That is a great way to start learning tarot, is by giving readings.
Mm-hmm.
Give readings to the people you know, the people in your households, cousins, siblings, parents, friends, your next door neighbors. Giving readings to people who know you and know that you're just learning, so that way they understand that you're in the learning stages of giving a tarot reading and understanding the tarot cards, and they won't necessarily put too much emphasis on your reading. So you don't have the pressure. You're giving it to people who understand.
Absolutely, all of that. Learning by doing is absolutely essential to learning tarot, but there are other ways to familiarize yourself with the general associations in the deck and your particular deck, because there are literally thousands of different kinds of tarot decks now.
And they all give off slightly different energies. So if you have more than one tarot deck, that is perfectly fine. It just means that you're probably going to use those decks for different things or different people.
Playing games with your tarot cards is another really good way to familiarize yourself with a new deck or your first deck. It's a good way to clear the energy. Gamification is an excellent way to learn anything. If you can make something into a game or turn it into a song, you're going to learn it much faster. You can play solitaire with them. You can play pretty much any card game with them. You just might have to modify it a little bit to take into account the energy of the major arcana.
Yeah, it's just a 5-deck system instead of a 4-deck system.
Suit?
Yeah, thank you. 5-suit system instead of a 4-suit system.
Exactly. When you're first learning tarot, there are actually a bunch of really great ways to learn it very, very quickly, because we're an impatient community. One of the great ways to learn tarot really, really quickly is to create a memory match game. We all play these games throughout elementary school and maybe beyond, because you can make them harder for an adult brain if you want. But the way you do this is that you write the general associations for each card on an index card and lay them down in a grid with your tarot deck. You can do every other one, you can alternate, or you can put index cards on one side and tarot on the other. It doesn't really matter, but all the cards should be face down. So then you flip a random tarot card and a random index card over, as you would in a memory match game, and see whether or not the associations on the index card match the tarot card. And if they don't, you flip them back over. If they do, you gather them up and set them aside. And you just continue this until all of the cards have been picked up. The way that you play this game forces you to know the words on the index card match the tarot card that you've turned over. So it's a really good way to learn like the basic associations with each card.
Mm-hmm. I know that when I was learning tarot, I learned through, like I said earlier, giving random readings to anyone who is a friend or family member or neighbor. But I also learned it through learning the keywords. So instead of going through and memorizing the exact meaning of a card, I generalized it down to mean 3 to 4 keywords that would then be able to be expanded outward depending on the reading. For instance, the Fool card means beginnings, endings, playfulness, spontaneity, and if I was going to give it one more shot, it would recklessness. What I would do is pull a card of the day, and part of my learning system, as well as part of daily meditation, is pulling the card, remembering those keywords, and then seeing how they apply to the rest of my day, to the energy or the situations or the people I interacted with.
And if it doesn't seem like they did, are you looking deep enough?
Because it's a keyword energy, I'm able to go in depth and figure out how else does that card apply to my day.
Exactly. Looking at them individually like that is also a really great way to learn how to pathwork your cards, which for anyone who doesn't know what pathworking is, it's looking into a card and placing yourself in your imagination, on the astral, into the setting. So examining the setting, imagining with all 5 physical senses what the setting would feel like, and deriving additional layers of meaning for the card from that experience.
Mm-hmm.
So another way to study your tarot cards, especially when you first have them, is to think about the meanings associations of each suit. So you, as Shannon stated earlier, you have 5 suits instead of 4, the 5th suit being the major arcana, and they all have a general association. Swords are associated with air and intellect, wands with fire and passion, pentacles with earth and practical matters, cups with water and emotion. So when you're looking at, say, the 9 of Cups, you know that this has something to do with an emotional concept because there's water here and all the meanings of water in terms of divination, in terms of healing, in terms of taking care of the emotional self. That, along with the symbolism in the card itself, even if you've never looked at it before, can help you determine what that card's associations are.
Working with the major arcana, which throws people off because they're so heavy in theme, is the 5th element, the spirit element in the deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that is the metaphysical. It's the psychological. It's the suit that symbolizes a person's path as they walk it and where they are or where they're going.
Exactly. And the major arcana can throw off new cardslingers for a little while too, because while there are patterns, you start with a Fool and you end with a Fool, but it goes from the Fool down to the World. And the layers of meaning simply build as you sort of go either up or down the ladder, however you want to look at it.
Mm-hmm. You expand out or you expand in.
Exactly. With the Wheel of Fortune being the turning point, pun intended, in the major arcana. So that can be a way to make that a little bit easier on yourself, seeing that thread of narrative through the major arcana. For instance, in my deck of choice, the Shadowscapes, and in my wife's favorite deck, the Wildwood deck, the Magician and the Fool are very, very closely related to each other. The Fool is either the Magician's apprentice or the Fool eventually becomes the Magician.
The Fool is literally the first step, and he becomes or he meets, or she becomes or she meets the Magician.
Right. In the Shadowscapes deck, it's kind of the narrative of a story. In that particular deck, I see them as apprentice and master. In the Wildwood deck, could very easily be the Fool becoming the Magician. Yes, it's the same in every deck, but the story can vary slightly depending on the symbolism the artist chose. So another way to familiarize yourself with a new deck, or if you're new to tarot, is to look for threads of symbolism or narrative in your deck. So when you're looking through a new deck, ask yourself, does each suit appear to be in the same environment or season? Are there images or symbols that are repeated throughout the deck? Or are there people that appear throughout the deck? So, for example, the Rider-Waite Tarot deck depicts wands in the desert, while the Shadowscapes places them all in a blazing orange autumn forest. Both decks depict wands as being associated with fire. The energy is very different.
Yeah. So as you learn the background and the symbolism in each deck, you might find different animals, you might find these different sceneries for even within the same deck, whether it's flat plain desert or is it a desert with mountains in the background?
Uh-huh.
Is it yellow skied or blue skied? All of those things can play heavily and significantly in how you learn each new deck that you come across.
Yes, there can be a theme across the suits in the deck. In the Wildwood deck, which is my wife's favorite, we see bears as a theme throughout the whole deck. There's the Guardian, which is the death card, the Great Bear, which is judgment, and then Queen of Stones appears in the Pentacles, in the Pentacle suit. So stones are pentacles in the Wildwood. They just call them stones.
Mm-hmm.
When you're looking at your deck, you can examine why does the bear appear here? What does the bear symbolize? What are the correspondences and the meaning of bear? And how can I apply that to where this creature appears in my deck? So that can give you more of an understanding of the narrative of your entire tarot deck.
Yeah. What is it? The 5 questions?
Who, what, where, when, how, and why.
And of course, that's a great way of learning as well. You pull out a card and who's in the card? What are they doing? Where are they set? Why are they there? Why are they doing this? And when does it appear to be happening? Is it when they are younger? When is it older? Does it appear to be daytime, nighttime, bedtime?
Is it a season?
So you go through all those and you actually can learn a more in-depth understanding and narrative of the individual card. That's all we have on the topic for today. Thank you so much for listening in, and we hope you'll join us again next time. In the meantime, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest, and go to our blog for some more witchy wisdom, as well as check out some of our original art on Society 6 for sacred decor and more. Thank you again for joining us, and go make some magic and live your best life. Bye.
Bye, everyone.